The story begins with gold bars being dumped into a cement mixer at a construction site, while a news report plays in the background about a massive manhunt. The series introducing Park Chang-ho, a third-rate lawyer known for his poor success rate in court and his tendency to talk big, earning him the nickname Big Mouth. Despite his efforts, Chang-ho struggles professionally and financially, which creates tension with his wife, Go Mi-ho, a dedicated nurse who believes in him despite his shortcomings. Chang-ho's life takes a drastic turn when he is hired to defend a high-profile murder case involving influential figures from the city of Gucheon. He sees this as an opportunity to redeem himself, but things quickly spiral out of control. He becomes the prime suspect when framed for being the notorious criminal mastermind known as Big Mouse. Chang-ho is arrested, and as the episode ends, he finds himself thrust into a prison filled with dangerous inmates and corrupt officials, unsure of how he got there or how to prove his innocence. Now imprisoned and branded as Big Mouse, Chang-ho struggles to survive in the hostile jail environment. He is harassed by guards and inmates who believe he is the infamous criminal. Meanwhile, his wife Mi-ho refuses to accept the allegations against him and begins her investigation to clear his name. In the prison, Chang-ho faces constant threats but adopts a more strategic approach to protect himself. He realizes that the real Big Mouse might be closer than he thinks, and that influential figures are conspiring to keep the truth hidden. The episode builds tension as Chang-ho starts piecing together clues, while Mi-ho works tirelessly on the outside to uncover the corruption involved in the case. The stakes are raised as it becomes clear that Chang-ho is caught in a much larger and dangerous web than he initially thought. These two episodes set the stage for a gripping drama filled with suspense, betrayal, and a quest for justice as Park Chang-ho fights to prove his innocence while navigating a dangerous conspiracy. The third episode opens with Chang-ho making a desperate escape attempt from prison, hoping to get shot by the guards. The warden, initially giving the order to shoot him, quickly changes his mind upon recognizing Chang-ho. He orders the guards to handcuff Chang-ho and confine him to a solitary cell. The warden informs Ji-hoon of Chang-ho's attempt to escape. Ji-hoon, deeply concerned, instructs not to kill Chang-ho under any circumstances. Meanwhile, Mi-ho starts her new job as a nurse at Gucheon Hospital. Mi-young, the head nurse, gives Mi-ho a tour but indifferently introduces her to the staff. During lunch, Mi-young orders Mi-ho to administer medicine to all patients alone. Mi-ho encounters a patient in cardiac arrest and, despite the staff's lack of response, manages to save the patient through her quick action. Following this, Mi-ho faces anger from Ju-hee for her unauthorized intervention. Ju-hee then tells Mi-ho about the "do not resuscitate" DNR orders for all patients on that floor, explaining that Mi-ho should ignore cardiac arrest situations. Mi-ho protests, but Mi-young warns her to comply with the hospital's policies or face consequences. Later, Mi-ho overhears a man coercing a guardian into signing a DNR order for surgery. After work, Mi-ho shares her concerns about the DNR orders with Gi-gwang and Soon-tae, suspecting a connection to Jae-young's unpublished paper. Soon-tae delivers divorce papers from Chang-ho, which Mi-ho tears up, vowing to visit Chang-ho despite being told he's in solitary confinement. The warden assembles inmates to grade them in the prison based on their bribery or connections. Chang-ho was assigned a lower grade due to his lack of connections, and was tasked with cleaning sewage drains. The VIPs, who dislike Chang-ho, plot another attack against him. An inmate, desperate for money, is sent to kill Chang-ho. The attack fails when the warden orders the guards to intervene, resulting in Chang-ho being injured but surviving the confrontation. Chang-ho realizes the VIP's intentions to kill him and wonders who framed him as Big Mouse. At home, Do-ha asks Ju-hee about Jae-young's paper, but she dismisses it as a rumor. Chang-ho and other Grade C inmates continue their grueling work. Determined to prove his Big Mouse identity, Chang-ho protests with other inmates, demanding proper meals. The warden eventually relents and allows them to eat in the cafeteria. Soon-tae and Mi-ho later visit Chang-ho. During their conversation, Chang-ho demands a divorce, but Mi-ho insists on standing by him until he's out of prison. The two break down and comfort each other, renewing Chang-ho's resolve to uncover who framed him. He embraces his Big Mouse persona and starts gathering support from other inmates, offering to grant any wish to those who join him. Chang-ho meets with 3 inmates who applied for his offer. No Park seeks help in finding his missing daughter, while Kwang-yeon asks for assistance in saving his mother from leukemia, who is at the same hospital where Mi-ho works. Mi-ho, meanwhile, continues her investigation into Jae-young's paper and suspects all doctors of lying about its existence. In episode 4, Mi-ho overhears a conversation indicating that a man is forcing a guardian to agree to a DNR for surgery. Mi-ho later confides in her father, Gi-gwang, about her suspicions. Mi-young interrupts their conversation, warning Mi-ho to avoid further complications. Ju-hee pressures Miho to resign from the hospital due to her association with Chang-ho. Miho argues that resignation should be her choice, not Ju-hee's, and brings up the mysterious paper. The VIPs convince the warden to stop interfering with their plan to kill Chang-ho, offering him a bribe. The warden agrees and transfers the inmate who attacked Chang-ho and 2 henchmen into Chang-ho's cell. No Park, sensing danger, predicts a grim fate for the new inmates. Despite their apology for the earlier attack, Chang-ho realizes the warden is in league with the VIPs. The transferred inmates attempt to make amends and vow to protect Chang-ho. However, it is revealed that the real killer among them is Kwang Yan, who attacks Chang-ho with a knife. No Park intervenes but gets fatally wounded. Chang-ho manages to fend off Kwang Yan with the help of the guards. Before his death, No Park whispers something to the warden, which remains a mystery. As tensions rise, Chang-ho and Jerry get released from solitary. The VIPs are infuriated by the warden's interference and the failure of their plan. Miho, suspecting the involvement of someone closer to Chang-ho, reports that the 2 poisoned inmates had died under mysterious circumstances. The warden orders an investigation, but the CCTV footage only shows the inmates committing suicide, leaving the source of the poison unexplained. Ji-hoon and Sung-tae visit an influential figure known as the Elder, whom Ju-hee has visited. The Elder demands the return of 100 billion won and requests Ji-hoon and Sung-tae support Do-ha's political aspirations. Ji-hoon plots to ruin Do-ha's chances by defaming him. Miho is followed again and manages to evade the pursuer. She meets with Gi-gwang and receives a call from Do-ha, who demands a meeting about Jae-young's paper. Do-ha, in return for the list of Big Mouse's clients, tasks Miho with delivering it to Chang-ho. Miho, questioning Do-ha's trustworthiness, is reassured by him that he's helping her. The episode ends with Chang-ho meeting Ji-hoon, who is surrounded by cheering inmates. Do-ha discovers that the list of clients provided to him is fake, created by Ji-hoon. The stage is set for a dramatic confrontation as Chang-ho prepares to face Ji-hoon with all eyes on him. The 5th episode opens with Chang-ho being cheered by the inmates as he heads to meet Ji-hoon. Do-ha meets Chang-ho before the meeting, but cannot speak to him privately due to the warden's orders. The warden presents Ji-hoon and Chang-ho with blank sheets of paper, asking them to write down the names of 5 Big Mouse clients. They both write down the same names, which surprises everyone. Suchul, the warden's right-hand man, informs the inmates that Chang-ho won the bet. Ji-hoon demands the return of the 100 billion won he believes Big Mouse stole. Chang-ho counters by asking for evidence of the theft. Ji-hoon claims he has a confession from his manager, Peter Hong, who handled the NR Forum money. The prosecution office has arrested Peter. During Peter's interrogation, he confesses to receiving instructions from Big Mouse, but never sees his face or hears his voice. When shown a photo of Chang-ho, Peter gets frightened, and, just as he is about to identify him, he collapses and dies from choking after an insulin shot. Ji-hoon becomes interested in Miho because she claims to have Jae-young's unpublished paper. Do-ha reveals to Ji-hoon that Miho lied, but Ji-hoon remains suspicious, believing Miho might be as dangerous as her husband. Mi-young announces a volunteering event at the prison and insults Miho, suggesting she visit her husband separately. Kung-suk, who is involved in jewelry design, recalls Jae-young asking her to create a necklace with a small memory card. Miho encounters Kung-suk but is brushed off. Ji-hoon meets Miho and asks her to sell him Jae-young's paper, but she refuses, emphasizing her need to find Jae-young's real killer. Ji-hoon threatens Miho, but she stands her ground, asserting that her husband is Big Mouse. Miho, thanks Do-ha, for providing the list of names. Soon-tae and Gi-gwang investigate Jae-young's case, and find social media photos suggesting he was close to someone who might have the paper. They track down a fisherman who reveals Jae-young was with a woman who was believed to be his lover. The warden settles the bet with Chang-ho, giving him VIP privileges and arranging a party for the inmates. The inmates celebrate Chang-ho, but the 3 VIPs are terrified by the confirmation that he is Big Mouse. Chang-ho intimidates the VIPs with threats and tricks. Do-ha visits Chang-ho in prison to understand the truth and how much of what he knows about Chang-ho is real. Chang-ho coldly responds and warns Do-ha not to talk about him to his wife. Ma-young is seen drawing blood from patients without a scheduled reason. Miho follows her and discovers she is going to the hospital's research facility, but loses track of her. Ju-hee arrives and confronts Miho, accusing her of suspicious behavior and threatening to fire her. Miho later realizes Ju-hee might be involved when Kung-suk is murdered, and she suspects Ju-hee's cross necklace might hold Jae-young's paper. The 6th episode continues with Miho discovering that Kung-suk's murder was linked to the cross necklace containing Jae-young's paper. She confronts Ju-hee at an after-party and accuses her of being involved. Ju-hee denies the allegations, claiming the necklace is a family heirloom. Hae-jin, who overhears their conversation, realizes that Miho is onto her and finds a memory card inside her cross necklace. Chang Ho requests to speak privately with Chun Sik, revealing his interest in investing in him. Chun Sik remains loyal to the VIPs and dismisses Chang Ho's offer. Chang Ho makes a bet with Chun Sik regarding their release from prison. Jae Ho is brought to Chang Ho, who accuses him of being an accessory to Jae Yong's murder and threatens to hang him if he doesn't confess. Jae Ho agrees to confess in court, but is later coerced into confessing threats. Mi-ho, Soon-tae, and Gi Guang are working on their findings, but are stalled. Do-ha reveals to Mi-ho that Chang Ho has admitted to being Big Mouse and warns her that Chang Ho is betraying her. Mi-ho is shaken, but decides to continue believing in Chang Ho. She learns from Gi Guang that Chang Ho has repaid his debts and plans to attend the volunteering event at the prison. During the event, Mi-ho sees the bruised Hae-jin and suspects abuse from Jae Ho. She advises Hae-jin to report the violence, but Hae-jin refuses. Mi-ho investigates further and confronts Gi Guang about the cross necklace and its connection to Jae Yong's paper. They discover that Hae-jin is in possession of the paper. As the VIPs prepare for their bail, Chae Bong taunts Chang Ho about Jae Ho's confession, which surprises both Chang Ho and Jae Ho. Chun Sik and his minions bring Jae Ho to Chang Ho, and the episode ends with Chang Ho's intimidation of Jae Ho and his plans for the VIP's fate. These episodes build tension and reveal the intricate web of deception and power dynamics. The 7th episode starts with the warden briefing Chae Bong and Do-gun on how their anklets work. However, it's soon revealed that the anklets have been placed on their secretaries instead. As the warden leaves, he instructs Su-chul to keep Chang Ho away from Jae Ho. Su-chul signals Chun Sik, who takes Jae Ho to the chapel and informs him that the cameras are off. Chun Sik's goons then restrain Jae Ho, and Chun Sik reveals that Ji-hoon ordered him to kill Jae Ho. Just as they're about to beat him, Chang Ho intervenes, demanding Jae Ho's release. When Chun Sik refuses, Chang Ho watches as a fight breaks out among Chun Sik's men. Su-chul left the cameras on and watched the whole scene from the warden's office. When Chang Ho is alone with Jae Ho, he learns from Jae Ho that Ji-hoon isn't the only powerful figure involved in the secrecy surrounding Jae Yong's paper. Chun Sik, who has been spying for Chang Ho on the VIPs, confirms he won't return to his former life, but asks Chang Ho to look after his men. The fight causes the Virgin Mary statue to break. Meanwhile, Gi Guang and Soon-tae search for Hae-jin, who they believe is hiding. Mi-ho is alerted by an emergency bell at the cancer ward, where she finds Mi-young Hee-ju and a doctor waiting beside an unconscious patient. Mi-ho learns that the patient, who caught an illness in prison, was a DNR case and was cremated without an autopsy. Suspecting foul play, Mi-ho retrieves a blood sample from the deceased to analyze with Gi Guang's forensic friend. Mi-ho is stopped by Ju-hee and others while leaving the morgue, but nothing incriminating is found. At night, Mi-ho sneaks back into the morgue to recover the blood sample she hid in another corpse. A man attempts to kill her in the elevator, but she fights him off until Do-ha arrives and helps. Mi-ho takes the blood sample for analysis and thanks Do-ha for saving her. Flashbacks reveal Chang Ho's plan to use a hidden camera in a Virgin Mary statue. After retrieving a memory card, Chang Ho discovers the video was edited. Mi-ho informs Chang Ho about receiving a warning from Big Mouse via 33 chrysanthemums and a tarot card. Chang Ho realizes someone is manipulating the situation and meets Jerry, who reveals he's been following Big Mouse's orders and advises Chang Ho to stop searching for Big Mouse. In a private meeting with Ji-hoon, Chae Bong and Do-gun, the elder shows a documentary detailing Guchon's rise. Tensions rise as the elder hints at seeking a successor, favoring Ju-hee over Do-ha. Jung-ruk proposes using truth serum on Chang Ho, and Ji-hoon's sponsorship of Jerry's sister is revealed. Jerry reluctantly drugs Chang Ho, who later suffers severe stomach pains. As Chang Ho is transferred to a mental asylum, a fire breaks out. Jerry helps Chang Ho escape amidst the chaos. Although Jerry meets with an accident while luring pursuers away, Chang Ho escapes with the help of the Big Mouse's resources. Mi-ho, Gi Guang, and Soon-tae organize a protest to pressure Ji-hoon for information. Chang Ho's ad reveals his location, leading Mi-ho to contact him. The trial day arrives with a surprising twist. Chang Ho declares himself as Big Mouse in a reporter's interview, setting the stage for more drama. The 8th episode starts with Chang Ho introducing himself as Big Mouse during a live stream. Meanwhile, in the courtroom, Mi-ho, streaming live, captures Chang Ho's accurate predictions about the trial's proceedings. Jung-ruk and Do-gun are implicated in a troubling scenario involving Jae Yong's body. Ji-hoon, alarmed by the livestream, directs his secretary to trace the IP address to find Chang Ho. As the trial continues, Do-gun submits a video showing CPR being performed on Jae Yong's body, muddying the evidence. This leads to a verdict of not guilty. Chang Ho, however, reveals that the VIPs killed Jae Yong for his unpublished paper. During an intense media frenzy, a truck displays Chang-ho's livestream, further incriminating Ji-hoon and the VIPs. Episode 9 unfolds with Ji-hoon threatening Hye-jin and eventually demanding divorce papers, only to learn of the address where Chang-ho is broadcasting. When the police arrive, they find the livestream but not Chang-ho himself. Meanwhile, Hye-jin leaves the country, and the case is transferred to a special investigation team. Chang-ho's prison life becomes more complex as he deals with a strange illness affecting inmates. Ji-hoon visits Chang-ho with an offer to invest the stolen money in illegal construction. Chang-ho's refusal and challenge to find the real Big Mouse intensifies the stakes. Episode 10 continues with Jung-rak, the VIPs, and Do-ha meeting with the Elder, who threatens punishment if they harm him. The VIPs are implicated in Jae-young's murder, with Do-ha revealing his true colors. It becomes evident that Do-ha orchestrated Jae-young's murder and is manipulating the situation for his gain. Chang-ho, still in prison, notices the dire condition of the inmates and their strange behavior. Mi-ho, now a prison nurse, discovers inconsistencies and performs a blood test. She learns that the supplements given to inmates are causing severe side effects. The warden reveals himself as a Big Mouse accomplice but fails to convince Chang-ho of his true identity. In prison, Mi-ho manages to save Kwon-yeon, despite the challenges of securing her position as a nurse. Chang-ho uses his new privileges to uncover more about the Big Mouse and the elusive Jae-young's paper. A series of confrontations and revelations lead to a dramatic showdown between Chang-ho, Mi-ho, and the warden. Jung-rak's recording of Chang-ho's conversation and Soo-chul's involvement shift the power dynamics. The warden's arrest and Joo-hee's car accident, caused by spiked coffee, add intrigue. Chang-ho and Mi-ho's scheme to expose the Big Mouse is set in motion as they navigate the dangerous game of power and deception. As the episode closes, the plot thickens with Chang-ho's determination to uncover the truth and confront Ji-hoon and the corrupt elements within the prison system. Episode 11 starts with Do-ha, anxiously concerned for Joo-hee, rushing to the hospital. However, the police have already arrived and taken a blood sample to test for drugs. Ji-hoon also arrives at the hospital, claiming he is worried about Joo-hee and comes to check on her. As Do-ha waits tearfully by Joo-hee's side, Ji-hoon, accompanied by Jung-rak, awaits the blood test results. Once Jung-rak confirms that drugs were detected in Joo-hee's blood, Ji-hoon leaks the information to the press. The next day, Chang-ho visits Soo-chul, requesting him to look for inmates with tattoos similar to those on the tarot cards. Soo-chul assembles all the inmates in the assembly hall and announces he is now the acting warden, forbidding illegal activities. He sets up tents for a body search to find illegal weapons, but is secretly searching for inmates with the Big Mouse tattoo. Chang-ho observes from the warden's office and identifies 3 inmates with the tattoo. Soo-chul concludes that Yoon-gab, the former warden, must have had more resources than just these 3, given his control over the prison. Soo-chul is offended when Chang-ho instructs him to investigate only the contacts of these inmates, reminding him that he got his position through connections and should earn it by helping. Mi-ho receives a call from Hye-jin, who reveals that Kwon-yeon's blood sample contains a rare drug that leads to leukemia. Hye-jin, having taken the sample to a laboratory in America, confirms that the drug has been causing leukemia-like symptoms in cancer patients at Gucheon Hospital. Mi-ho agrees to get more blood samples from the inmates and send them to Hye-jin in America. Mi-ho faces an emergency, where Kwon-yeon struggles without his drugged supplement. She manages to sedate him without giving him the drug, reflecting on how model inmates receive different drugs than those they claim. Meanwhile, a man takes a photo of Hye-jin and sends it to Jae-ho, who is now deranged without Hye-jin. Jae-ho instructs the informant to keep monitoring her. Reporters start hounding Do-ha due to the news of Joo-hee's drug use. Shocked by the news, Joo-hee argues with Do-ha, explaining that her involvement with Jae-young's paper and her silence about strange occurrences in the hospital has made her an accomplice. The discovery of the drug in Joo-hee's tumbler suggests she was drugged, similar to how Chang-ho was. Do-ha orders his secretary to find Hye-jin and uncover her activities. Yoon-gab is imprisoned and greeted by Chul, whom Yoon-gab promptly slaps for betrayal. Chul retaliates with a baton, but the guards intervene. Chul, furious, brings the 3 inmates with the Big Mouse tattoo before Yoon-gab and threatens to kill them if Yoon-gab does not reveal the Big Mouse's identity. Despite Chul's brutal tactics, Yoon-gab claims ignorance of the Big Mouse's identity. Chang-ho and Chun-sik intervene to save Yoon-gab and warn Soo-chul that his actions could cost him his position as warden. Chang-ho advises Yoon-gab to come to him when ready to confess about the Big Mouse. The inmates begin threatening Yoon-gab as he returns to his cell. Soo-chul implements strict measures, banning facility use and increasing work shifts for all inmates, while offering a special pardon for anyone who helps capture the Big Mouse. In response, the inmates report each other to avoid punishment, increasing fights and unrest. Mi-ho continues to collect blood samples from the model inmates, but their transport route is altered to evade surveillance. Jae-ho attacks Hee-jin, who tries to escape and accidentally stabs herself. Do-ha arrives to find Jae-ho with Hee-jin and searches her phone, discovering her communications with Mi-ho. He then informs Soo-chul of Chang-ho's alliance with the Big Mouse, ordering Soo-chul to eliminate Mi-ho and make it appear as part of a prison riot. No Park is revealed as the Big Mouse agrees to meet Chang-ho in exchange for his help against Do-ha's enemies. Chang-ho promises to expose the mastermind behind the 3 VIPs and Ji-hoon. During a riot instigated by Soo-chul, the inmates attack the guards, causing chaos. Chang-ho and No Park meet in the church, where No Park explains his motivations and reveals his obsession with Jae-young's paper. He agrees to cooperate if Chang-ho can bring down their common enemies. Mi-ho is in danger as Soo-chul orders her death amidst the riot. In episode 12, as the prison riot escalates, Mi-ho finds herself under threat. Kwang-yeon comes to her aid but is injured. Chul, aiming to kill Mi-ho, is confronted by Chang-ho, who arrives just in time to save her. With No Park and Yoon-gab's help, Chul is eventually killed. At the art auction, the elder confronts Ji-hoon about framing Ju-hee. Ji-hoon tries to buy time by promising results, but is warned by the elder that his company is at stake. Ju-hee takes over Jae-young's position, while Ji-hoon plans to undermine Ju-hee. A confrontation ensues between Ji-hoon and Do-ha, with Ju-hee intervening. No Park, surrounded by armed forces, agrees to Chang-ho's offer if he fulfills his promise. Chang-ho calls Ji-hoon, announcing the capture of the Big Mouse. Ji-hoon is excited, but Do-ha, unable to reach Soo-chul, heads to the prison. Ji-hoon arrives with the police to arrest No Park. Chang-ho delivers No Park to Ji-hoon, claiming he used the blood samples to trap the Big Mouse. Chang-ho is released, his charges are dropped, and he gains fame as a righteous lawyer. He moves to a bigger office and begins to fulfill his promise to No Park. Mi-ho reveals that the blood samples used were actually from Chang-ho, No Park, and Yoon-gab. Ye-jin is reported missing, and Do-ha's secretary is seen cremating her body. In a dramatic twist, Chang-ho, now a prominent attorney, takes No Park's case and demands a private room for him. He prepares to expose the real mastermind behind the VIPs and Ji-hoon. Ji-hoon, hoping to secure his position, presents the blood samples and No Park's photo to the elder, who demands results before finalizing the agreement. Ju-hee informs the elder of Chang-ho's press conference, where Chang-ho reveals a deeper conspiracy involving Ji-hoon and the real mastermind. As Ji-hoon attempts to finalize his agreement, the elder tears it up, challenging Ji-hoon to complete his task. Mi-ho confronts Jae-ho about Hee-jin's disappearance, suspecting his involvement. The episode ends with Chang-ho planning his next move, as he continues to unravel the series' complex web of deceit and corruption. Episode 13 kicks off with the aftermath of No Park's death, who was killed in the explosion at his restaurant. The news of his death spreads, and Do-ha reports to the elder that Chang-ho is still alive. Despite Do-ha's concerns that Chang-ho could be a bigger threat than the Big Mouse, the elder dismisses him, stating that he never intended for bloodshed and wants to involve Do-ha in the main political party. Do-ha, now worried about Chang-ho, tries to convince the elder that Chang-ho could be a significant threat. Their conversation is interrupted by Ji-hoon, who is furious at Do-ha for taking credit for capturing the Big Mouse. Do-ha taunts Ji-hoon about almost receiving company shares from the elder, escalating their tension. Do-ha's next plan is to have Chang-ho killed. His secretary is sent to find a hitman known as Waterfowl. The secretary meets Waterfowl, hands him a photo of Chang-ho, and instructs him to finish the job. Meanwhile, Chang-ho reflects on No Park's words of encouragement and trust. As he investigates the site of the explosion, Waterfowl ambushes him, but Jerry and another ally manage to subdue him. Jerry informs Chang-ho that Waterfowl was sent by those responsible for No Park's death. Concerned about Mi-ho's safety, Jerry reassures Chang-ho that his men will protect her. Jerry also mentions that only one Big Three could have requested No Park's help. When Chang-ho asks about the Big Three, Jerry suggests attending No Park's funeral. At the funeral, Chang-ho learns that No Park planned to transfer all authority of the Big Mouse organization to him. Shocked, Chang-ho listens as No Park's recorded message directs the members to follow his command. Yoon-gab, one of the Big Three, accuses Chang-ho of forcing No Park into making a fake video, but Soon-tae, the second Big Three member, reveals that he filmed the video. Soon-tae advises Chang-ho to stay strong, as showing weakness could endanger him and his family. Now aware of Soon-tae's position, Chang-ho asks him not to reveal anything to Mi-ho. Meanwhile, Do-ha learns that Waterfowl was found dead with a suicide note, a death he suspects Chang-ho might be behind. Chang-ho reunites with Mi-ho and Gi-gwang, assuring them that the organization will protect them as they continue their mission. Mi-ho agrees to stay committed, driven by the need to uncover the truth about No Park's death. Episode 14 starts with Chang-ho meeting with Soon-tae. agreeing to follow No Park's wishes only until they can take down those responsible for No Park's daughter's death. Soon-tae revealed that No Park's daughter, No Soo-jin, went missing while working on exposing the NR forum and was found dead with her notebook 3 years later. The notebook contained information on Jae-young and his paper, which led to Jae-young's murder. Soon-tae also discloses that the NR forum, led by Ji-hoon and the elders, controls business sectors and may be linked to the increase in leukemia cases. Miho suspects NK chemicals as the cause and remembers a suspicious pipe blast. Ju-hee, working with the elder and Do-ha, confronts the issue, but the elder refuses to shut down the chemical company, despite Ju-hee's concerns. Disgusted by the reports, Ju-hee orders the removal of the secret lab associated with NK chemicals. After burning the lab and throwing away the key, Ju-hee seeks the elder's approval to build a new, transparent lab. The elder agrees and gives her shares, infuriating Ji-hoon. Do-ha gets attacked by a group of men, but manages to fend them off despite injuries. Chun-sik and his team are introduced to their new role at a newly built restaurant, Chang-ho. Meanwhile, Soon-tae and Jerry investigate Yoon-gab's independent actions and confront him. Yoon-gab is later found tied up, and Chang-ho reveals that he had set up a trap to expose Do-ha's schemes. Chang-ho has a hidden camera capturing the conversation between Yoon-gab and Do-ha, showing the elder's involvement. Chang-ho orchestrates a plan to expose the truth as the elder's birthday party approaches. At the party, Do-ha is seen enjoying the festivities, while Chang-ho, with Jerry's help, reveals Do-ha's true identity and the elder's dark secrets. Miho learns from Haesu's brother-in-law that the real Do-ha is actually Sung-hyun, who took over the identity of the deceased Do-ha. Chang-ho uses this information to leverage his position with the elder, who is then forced to confront the truth about his actions and regrets. Ultimately, the elder dies, and Do-ha seizes the opportunity to claim his position. Ju-hee and Chang-ho resolve their differences, while Do-ha, now in control, prepares for the next steps in his quest for power. In the final 2 episodes, the plot thickens. It begins with Chang-ho attending the elder's funeral alongside his lackeys. He approaches Do-ha, calling him by his real name, Sung-hyun, which Ju-hee overhears. Chang-ho whispers to Do-ha that he will expose all his crimes before leaving. Ju-hee confronts Do-ha about hearing him being called Sung-hyun, but Do-ha tells her he will explain everything after the funeral. The NR forum members are intrigued, anticipating Do-ha's downfall now that the elder is dead. Junrak informs Ji-hoon that a private meeting has been arranged with attorney Jung, the elder's lawyer. Ji-hoon immediately inquires about the elder's will. He learns that the elder's inheritance was evenly distributed among all heirs. Although the elder had planned to amend his will, he passed away before doing so. Ji-hoon attempts to tamper with the will, but the attorney refuses. Ji-hoon receives a call from Chang-ho requesting a meeting to discuss the election, but Ji-hoon hangs up, asking Chang-ho to handle it himself. At the parking lot, Chang-ho and his team confront Ji-hoon, revealing that the elder did not die of cardiac arrest. Chang-ho taunts Ji-hoon, predicting that Ji-hoon will come to him once the will is read. Ji-hoon, however, dismisses the warning and celebrates privately, knowing he will inherit 36% of NK Chemicals shares, according to the elder's will. The next day, Ashley arranges for workers to fix the projector in the room where the elder's will be read. Chang-ho, however, manages to have a camera installed to monitor the meeting. When Do-ha and Ju-hee arrive, Ji-hoon and Chaebong plot to eliminate them once they receive their shares. To Ji-hoon's shock, a different attorney comes with the elder's revised will. The will reveals that all the elders